Hello, Steve Fletcher here, and welcome to the Everything Guide to Learning to Play Guitar. Before we get started, can I ask you please to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube page, really help me grow my online business. And if you've got a moment, just check out all my social media. There's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as my website. The links are all down there in the description. If you need a little friendly reminder of everything that we've done so far in the Everything Guide to Learning to Play Guitar, then you can follow the link up there in the corner and it will take you to the playlist for everything that we've been through. So we're starting a brand new section in this video. We're doing tabulature, combining the tabulature and the chords to get songs that sound that little bit more accurate to how they really are. All the sheets that accompany every one of these videos is available direct from me. If you head over to my website, the link is down there in the description. I think it's really important, the further down the road of the Everything Guide to Learning Guitar, the further down the road you go, the more important it is that you do get those sheets because you do need that visual accompaniment to go alongside what I'm saying. If you're a student of mine, either in school or over Zoom, then you will get those sheets automatically. So if you're watching this video, then you should already have that sheet. If you're just watching me out there in internet land, then head over to my website where you can download those sheets. If you are still unfamiliar with what tabulature is, then you can find the dedicated learning how to read tabulature video right there in the corner. I definitely advise you to have a look at that one. So let's get to it. Okay, so what we're going to do in this lesson, waffle alert I'm afraid, is we're going to take a look at this idea of music notation. Basic music notation at first. Now as you move further and further into your playing, and I'm assuming you've sort of started considering whether or not you're going to do your grade pieces, which I think you definitely should, you'll have to start looking at the musical stave, this thing here, and not be totally horrified, okay? Don't panic. It is easier than you think. Now, I'm not going to insist that you learn how to perfectly read music notation, although goodness knows it would be wonderful if you did. Now, many guitarists have never learned how to read music properly, and you've gotten this far without ever learning how to read it. So it is completely possible to be a guitarist without ever learning how to read music. And essentially, it comes down to what kind of guitar player you ultimately want to be, where you see yourself going with your learning. If you're the kind of player that is just sort of doing it as a bit of a hobby, something to fill a little bit of dead time in the evenings, or maybe just sort of muck about with your mates in a band, then I would probably say, no, you don't really have to prioritize learning how to read music. However, if you know that music is going to be your thing forever, you want to set yourself up as a professional musician, taking jobs where and whenever you can, teaching, playing professionally, then I would definitely say yes, 100% you should dedicate yourself to fully learning how to read music. And right now, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of walk this fairly large middle ground between being someone who knows zero musical information and someone who knows loads. There's a huge grey area between there. And that's where we're going to live for quite some time. And at first, of course, we can only start with the basics. And the basics comes in the form of two things, which is one, the notes, and two, the rests. And you're already more than familiar with the fact that there are beats in a bar. And these never, ever go away. There are two things that will now sit on top of your beats to give you the music that you play. One, the notes. The notes look like an assortment of these things here. And these are when you play, what you play, and how long you play for. Each one has a specific beat value, meaning how long they last for. And obviously, where they're positioned on the musical stave tells you what pitch the note is, whether you're playing this note here, or this note here, or this note here, or what have you. Now the rests are what we use when we don't play, okay? Each one of those has, again, got a very specific beat value telling you how long you don't play for. Basically, everything on a musical bar has got to be covered with something. So you either have a beat, a note that lasts for a beat, and then a rest that lasts for a beat, and then another note that lasts for a beat, and then another rest that lasts for a beat. But basically, you can't have nothing. You've got to either have a note or a rest. Okay? Now, starting with the notes, all right, at this most basic stage, we're going to look at the 4 most common notes. We shall cover what each one looks like and how many beats each one lasts for. So the first one is this one. This is the whole note, sometimes called a semi-breve, and it's named so because it takes the whole 4-beat bar to itself. It lasts for the whole bar. It is a whole note. It lasts for 4 beats. So when you're playing 4 beats in a bar, there is only room for this. Then we have the half note, which is sometimes called the minim. It's named so because it takes half of the 4-beat bar to itself. So it's therefore lasts for 2 beats. Okay, so if you had a 4-beat bar, you could fit 2 of these in, one on beat 1, 1, 2, and one on beat 3, 3, 4. This is the quarter note. The quarter note, sometimes called a crotchet, is named so because it takes a quarter of the 4-beat bar to itself. In other words, it lasts for 1 beat. If you had a 4-beat bar, there would fit 4 of these notes in the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, the last one that we're going to look at is the 8th note, sometimes called a quaver. And this is named so because it takes an 1/8 of the bar to itself. It is therefore lasts for only half a beat. You could in fact get 8 of those quavers in a 4-beat bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So, you're putting these note values together in an actual bar, you could see an assortment of things. What I've got on the sheet that you should have got downloaded, either been given by me if you're one of my students or you've downloaded it from my website, is I've shown these examples of just mixing things up, of how you can view those notes as they're positioned in the bar, and hopefully you can see how each one fits. You've got that whole note, which you can see takes up all of those beats all to itself, the half notes, the quarter notes, the 8th notes, and how they fit. Now, you don't just get one of each of those notes in the bar. We get combinations of things to give you various different rhythms and how you play them. Okay, so take a little bit of time to have a look at that basic notation sheet, the page 2 sheet, because it just gives you a few little examples, these examples, in fact, of how the notes can look on your musical stave. The best way to do these, to practice these, is to put a metronome on, all right? Get yourself a nice metronome on, and then just clap, count yourself through, and maybe just clap where the notes land. So you might get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Things like that, just to really help you. Doing that really helps you to visualize where those notes are on the beat. So the rests. Now, basically, in a nutshell, the rests, the 4 rests that we're going to look at, are the exact opposites of the 4 notes that we've looked at. So you've had the whole note, half note, quarter note, and 8th note. We're going to have the same values of rests. So we're going to have a whole note rest, which looks like this, which lasts for the entire 4-beat bar for itself. So it therefore lasts for 4 beats. So if you put that in the bar, there's no room for anything else. We then have the half note rest, which looks like the whole note rest flipped over, which lasts for 2 beats. Okay, it takes half of that 4-beat bar to itself. We then have the quarter note rest. So the quarter note rest takes up a quarter of that 4-beat bar, so therefore it lasts for 1 beat each. And we have the 8th note rest, okay, which is where we have a half beat rest. So you could fit 8 of those in a 4-beat bar. 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again, what you get, and this is where I would really seriously start to really insist that you try and get hold of those sheets if you've not got them already, is a combination of things. So you have, a note where you play, a rest where you don't, and all that kind of stuff, and it really does mix up. So you might get something that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, rest, 3, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest, 4, that kind of thing going on. Does take a little bit of doing, take a little bit of getting used to, but just come to it gradually and steadily, and don't be afraid of it. It's not going to bite you. Now, combining music notation and tabulature. Now, whilst tab is a wonderful thing for us guitarists to use, and it's a brilliant thing for those guitarists who've never learned how to read music, it does have one fairly major drawback. And that drawback is it doesn't ever tell you what beat in a bar a note is on. Now, that's a real problem. If you don't know the song that you're playing and you just see a load of numbers written on the tab, you've no idea how the song rhythmically goes. If you see 4 fret 2s on string 5 in a bar, does it go 1, 2, 3, 4? Does it go 1 and 2 and? Does it go 1, 2 and 3? You just don't know. You don't know how to rhythmically play that. Now, up until now, what I've been doing is adding the beats underneath the tab. All right, so if we take a look back at Can't Get No Satisfaction, you can see here, you've got the riff and you've got the beats in the bar written underneath. Now, this isn't ideal for your progression, and I'm not going to do it from now on. All right, what you'll see from now on is more akin to what you'll see in your grade books and other transcribed bits of music, a combination of the tabulature and the music notation. To give you an example, what I've done is I've retranscribed, again, get the sheet, I've retranscribed Seven Nation Army to, instead of being, having the beats in the bar underneath, I've done it with the notation above the tabulature. So what this means is you can look at the note on the tab, look at the note on the stave, and look at that and see that note on the stave and be like, that's a 1-beat note. That note lasts for 1 beat. The next note is a half-beat note. That only lasts for half-beat. And start putting it together in your brain like that. No, it's not easy at first. Yes, it's very important that you do crack it. So really do give it a good, jolly good go. And there you have it, okay? Please don't be scared of it. Please don't. It's not as hard as you think. I mean, yes, it is like learning another language. So no, there are bits of it that won't seem easy straight away. But it's not as terrifying as you might first think. It is easy to sort of wrap your head around it. You are only talking about things that last for, up to 4 beats. So I'm sure anyone with a basic skill of maths can figure out how things go. But just take your time, all right? Take your time. Keep watching these videos over and over and over and over again. That's what they're for. And eventually it will start to sink in. So thanks for watching. Please leave me some nice comments. Please check out all my social media, my website down there in the description. And we'll see you next time, boys and girls. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.